Welcome to episode number 153. This is our book club discussion of Tools of Titans, right? Mm-hmm. This is the biggest book we have ever tackled. And let's...
2 inches thick.
let's not do this again, shall we?
It depends on what they want.
Right, that's true. Our members vote on our books. In fact, voting is going on now. If you are one of our members, the survey is out there, so please do respond to which books you want, and please do not choose any that are this large. Again, especially not during a very busy month, right? Mm-hmm. This is has been quite a month, and honestly, this is the first book that I have not finished that we've put together for a book club, so don't tell anybody.
You just did. Everybody.
Oh, they won't tell anybody. They'll be fine. Okay. But more about that in a moment. This episode is brought to you by our Sales and Marketing Lab, right?
Exactly.
Which is our most fun product, I would have to say, to deliver, and also to for a lot of the folks in there. This is our least expensive product. This is the best way to get professional marketing consulting at a very discounted price, right?
Yes, it is.
And then you also get to interact with all of our other clients. You get an hour a month of custom consulting in our office hours. You get to be part of our book club, which is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And you get an SEO report on your website, so you can see how what you're doing is impacting how you are seen on the web. And we also do one monthly project each month. This month is budget and planning, and next month will be sales. So we tackle one major project each month and make a lot of progress that way. So cool stuff, right? First impressions of the book, besides that it's monstrously huge.
Well, the guy went to a lot of trouble to interview a lot of people.
Right. The guy being Tim Ferris.
Right.
The author of The 4-Hour Workweek and a lot of other books that we like. So very irreverent and very funny.
A lot to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
You can pull pieces and parts and apply it to yourself, your situation.
Mm-hmm. So even though I did not read the whole thing, I concentrated actually most of this discussion on the business section, because he's talking about healthy, wealthy, and wise. Those are the three main components of the group. And since this is a sales and marketing book club, focusing mostly on the wealthy bit of that, which is kind of the business bit, and leaving the philosophy and health for other days, right?
I skipped the health, but I think I got one or two, maybe one out of the philosophical approach.
Cool. Neat. And I know we all need all three in our lives, but I had to focus somewhere because I wasn't going to get the book read in the amount of time that we had. So here we are. All right. So each of us picked 3 different quotes from the book. So I'm going to do one, and then John's going to do one, and it'll be fun. So the first one that I picked was Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people. And the quote was, "Never audition." Mm-hmm. And in the book, they go into a lot of detail about why the whys and hows of each of these quotes and things. And the really cool thing I think about Arnold Schwarzenegger is he's played roles that are all kind of a type, I would say. This is from True Lies, one of our favorites, right? And The Running Man, which was not one of my favorites, but, hey, same sort of character. But the interesting thing was, I had never really thought about Arnold Schwarzenegger in this particular way before, but when he started his acting career, the people who were doing really well were the Dustin Hoffmans and the Al Pacinos and the character actors who were tough and scrappy and little guys, Mm-hmm. And so if Arnold Schwarzenegger were to audition for The Godfather or The Graduate or any of the typical movie roles that were around at that time, they would have laughed him off the stage. He's just not that type of character.
Right.
And yet, when James Cameron had the script for The Terminator, who would you think of, if you read that script or read that outline or read that book?
Arnold comes to mind.
Yeah, hello. In fact, James Cameron said, we could not have done The Terminator without Arnold Schwarzenegger. It just is so perfect for his character. Mm-hmm. So we do that too. We don't do RFPs typically because usually when people have an RFP, it's because they already have somebody in mind, right?
Exactly.
And they're trying to justify their decision and make sure that they're making a good decision, which is not a terrible thing. But typically we like roles that are made for us, where we fit in really well with the company, where they know who we are before we get involved with them. They've seen our podcasts. They know what our style is. They know it's going to work with their customers. They know we're going to resonate really well. So just to drive the point home, when I first started doing marketing, a lot of the people that I really looked up to, Dan Kennedy, and this does not mean that we don't use Dan Kennedy methods or structures or statistics or information and other things, but I cannot be a Dan Kennedy, right? Not without making a complete idiot out of myself, right?
I don't know about that, but it's just not your style.
Right, and it's not your style either, right?
I can be that way.
Yeah, a little bit more so than me, but Gary Vaynerchuk. That one is definitely not you. A little more me than you, I'd say, but still not either one of us, really. But that doesn't mean that we don't use Gary Vaynerchuk's advice or methods or anything else when it makes sense to do so.
True.
So, I mean, you got to be yourself. You got to be you. There's no other way to be, right?
And I wouldn't know how to be anybody else anyway.
Exactly. And you wouldn't want to be married to Dan Kennedy or Gary Vaynerchuk, so we're in luck, right? Okay, cool. Next one.
Well, and everybody knows Scott Adams. He's the guy that wrote the comedy strip, Dilbert. But he discusses the fact that if you have a system, you can approach any project and multiple projects and fail in one or more of them and still be okay rather than have a goal. And this is a particularly interesting section of the book, so I chose this one as a good thing.
Wow, so he has a system for
approaching projects.
So he can do more of them.
He can do more of them, and he doesn't care if one or two fail.
Smart.
So if you have goals, you want to get this done, and it fails, then you're done.
Right.
I mean, you fail.
Yeah.
But if a project fails, it's just a project, it's not you. And so forth. It's an interesting read.
Cool. That is neat. Another one that I really liked was Derek Siever's Busy Equals Out of Control.
Well, I felt that way today.
We've all had days like that, right? And actually, we just recently came back from our road trip to a pile of work, which is a wonderful thing. But I think in our culture especially, there is kind of a reverence or a cult of busyness. You're not doing well unless you're busy. In fact, at NBAA, you would walk up to people and ask how things are going this year, and they'd say, "It's good, we're busy. Busy is good," right? That not necessarily true, right?
Well, busy, if you translate that into having lots of sales and work to do, that's one thing.
Right. But I think a lot of people, and especially back when I had a corporate Dilbert kind of job, corporate cubicle kind of job, there was also kind of a defense mechanism of, I'm so busy, don't assign me anything else.
Yeah, that's right.
So I understand the reason for it, but this is not a powerful person, right? Somebody who's buried under a pile of paper. And if you are wanting to influence people, if you're wanting to get more business, if you're wanting those kinds of things, then appearing to be overwhelmed is really not something you should be
As a matter
doing,
of fact,
right?
a good maxim, if you have really busy people, not people looking busy, when something comes in and needs to be expedited, you give it to them.
Exactly.
Because they'll figure a way to get it done because they've got systems.
That's true. Yeah, so that ties together with the one that you read. And I'm actually going to read a little bit. Oh my, from the book. This is one way that he prevents himself from being busy. This is doing an ordinary thing in an extraordinary way. So Derek Sievers runs a company called CD Baby. And this is an email that he took about 20 minutes to do. It's an email that gets sent over and over and over by his system, right? So doing that in an extraordinary way has done more good for his business than just about anything else that he has done. So he wrote this email in about 20 minutes, and I'm going to read you the entire contents of this email.
Oh my.
Yeah. Your CD has been gently taken from our CD Baby shelves with sterilized contamination-free gloves and placed onto a satin pillow. A team of 50 employees inspected your CD and polished it to make sure it was in the best possible condition before mailing. Our packing specialist from Japan lit a candle and a hush fell over the crowd as he put your CD into the finest gold-lined box that money can buy. We all had a wonderful celebration afterwards, and the whole party marched down the street to the post office, where the entire town of Portland waved bon voyage to your package on its way to you in our private CD Baby jet on this Friday, June 6th. I hope you had a wonderful time shopping at CD Baby. We sure did. Your picture is on our wall as the customer of the year. We're all exhausted, but we can't wait for you to come back to cdbaby.com. So you got to write an email anyway, right?
That's right.
You might as well do the heck out of it. So if you do less work but do it better, you can be less busy and get more done. So that also plays into those systems that you were talking about for Scott Adams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. The next one is yours.
I suppose I should read this for those of you that are listening and not watching.
Mm-hmm.
This is by Kevin Costner. Being an entrepreneur is being willing to do a job no one else wants to do, parenthetically, in order to be able to live the rest of your life doing whatever you want to do. And truer words are never spoken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, exactly what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
She started the company. After I retired several times, I helped her.
There you go.
And here I am, helping her do her thing. And we kept getting questions, not of marketing nature, but more of a business nature. So I started consulting with clients with respect to business.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like next week I'm going to be helping a company start up. so much for retirement. But it's fun.
Right.
And as long as it's fun,
mm-hmm.
then I'm doing exactly what I want to be able to do. And it's all because, my first company I started in 80-something, 89.
Okay.
And it sort of fits with the next thing I'll tell you about when it comes to a quote. But
that's awfully mysterious.
It, or maybe it doesn't. But anyway, I started a company at the behest of another company. They and the government suggested I should consider starting a company to do A, B, and C. And so I thought, I don't know how to do that. But it didn't stop me. I went ahead and did it. And I was the attorney, the CPA, the guy doing the work.
The janitor sweeping the floor.
I did everything
on
that first company, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. Right, and honestly, it is not all sunshine and unicorns,
No, because what happened was, I had when I went in and I'd signed the papers, I went in to give it back to the people. They said, "You realize, of course." I thought, "Oh shit, what did I miss?" Mm-hmm. And this is the first year before your contract. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Oh, yes, I got that. Fingers crossed." But since I wasn't marketing, I was on the verge of hiring more people, and they opted not to refund for the third year. So,
ouch.
I wasn't fast enough, didn't perceive things, but that was only the first time.
Mm-hmm. And we actually have an upcoming podcast that we're planning on how to start a business in aviation, because a lot of that is the consulting that you've been asked to do in a lot of cases is how do I determine if this is a good business idea and so on. So we'll talk about that more in a future episode. But this is a good one. And no matter if it's something that you absolutely love doing, there is still going to be some stable cleaning, as we used to say. There's going to be some shoveling of substances, and there's going to be some accounting, some billing, some sales calls, some, whatever it is that you don't like to do. There's going to be some of that involved.
And don't ever give up. A guy I worked with for a while had a saying. He says, when you're neck deep in horse crap, He says, what you got to do is sort of walk around, feel around, because there's got to be a horse in here somewhere. You get on its back and ride out.
Exactly. There's got to be a pony in here somewhere. Got to be an optimist about that. Okay. Seth Godin, one of my favorite authors, was also included in the book, of course. And his quote that I really liked in here is, be a meaningful specific instead of a wandering generality. And this also plays into the how not to be super busy. Mm-hmm. We all get things every single day that are completely off topic, but great ideas. And, our mission is...
Which we decided to accept.
Which we've decided to accept, is to help aviation companies sell more of their products and services, right?
Right.
If it is not in that mission, we can't do it. And in fact, we had Robert De Laurentiis and his group come to us. They're doing a trip around the world.
Pole to pole around.
Pole to pole around the world. South Pole to North Pole in a Turbo Commander. Mm-hmm. Super cool project. And his first question to us is, can you help us with this mission? And the answer is no. But we can help you sell products.
That's right.
We help aviation companies sell more products to more of their products and services. And he does have a line of products that are funding his trip. So we were able to find a way to make that fit into our specific mission.
Right.
So if we had tried something else, we probably would not have done a very good job. And, he wouldn't be happy and we wouldn't be happy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because we'd be spread too thin. So that focus is really, really important. You want to stick with that mission, whatever it is, and make sure that anything that falls outside of that, you'll get another chance later. But, keep your focus while you have it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Next one, probably the most fun.
Well, this one is by Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back. Named must your fear be, before banish it you can. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't be afraid, for crying out loud, to step off the deep end and go do something different. Mm-hmm. Prepare, and figure out what you're afraid of, prepare for it, and then go do it.
Right, exactly.
And this actually came out of... this wasn't the primary author he interviewed, obviously.
I was going to say, he interviewed Yoda? That's cool.
But this Yoda was mentioned in the first paragraph or two within the read, and I thought, that's a good quote. Mm-hmm.
I actually really like that part of the book, because one of the things that they talk about is how Yoda is a Buddhist, really more than anything else. And so the philosophy that Yoda embraces is really not about battling, it's about embracing, your fear. Sit with it long enough to figure out what it is and how to work with it and how to move through it and how to break it down into pieces and all of those things. And, none of us are ever going to not be afraid. But you can break it down in pieces and manage it piece by piece.
And if you missed it, I believe it's on page 271.
Cool. All right.
Oh, actually, it's on page 463.
463. Okay, cool. I didn't put page numbers on mine, but you put page numbers on yours.
See?
He's much more organized than I am, so we have our strengths and weaknesses, right? Okay, so if you would like to be part of our book club, the only way to do that is through our marketing lab. You can't be one without the other, because we only work with sales and marketing professionals, because our mission is
to help everybody sell more products and services.
To help, people in the aviation industry sell more products and services. So, to that end, that is our mission in a beaker right there, right? And this is the best way that we know to provide that service at the lowest possible cost. And of course, we offer other specialized services. We do website refreshes, we do direct mail campaigns, we do trade shows, all kinds of other things. But it kind of all starts with the sales and marketing lab, because then we get to...
If it has to do with aviation marketing, I'd be surprised if we don't already do it for you.
Exactly. Yep. Some things we need to get some help for, but almost anything that you would do having to do with sales or marketing, we can help you with.
And if you have a question, ask.
Absolutely, and this is how you ask. On our homepage, there is a gold button in the middle of the homepage. You click that button and you can select any time from our calendar, and it will find an open time, and we will help you sell more products and services. We'll spend 30 minutes in a complimentary consultation, right?
Of course.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next time.
Yes, we will. Have a great day.